Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of The Process with Judah Kim. Today, my guest is Katie Frank. Now, I know Katie through her husband, which was the drummer in Judah Kim in the Assassination. His name is John McNally. And Katie was always around either at a show, at a group setting somewhere. I think she showed up for one of my birthdays too. And we never really got to talk. So I'm really looking forward to this today because I've always known her and I really looking forward to sort of connecting with her and how she thinks about songs and music and writing because besides knowing John, the one thing that we have in common is that we are songwriters. Okay, she has a new single coming out called Dark Cloud, and you can find it everywhere now, Spotify, et cetera, all that stuff. By the time this comes out, it will be everywhere. But you can go to katiefrankmusic.com and she has it all laid out for you there perfectly. All right, so without further ado, we're going to let in Katie Frank. Looks like she's coming in. Here we go. Hi, Katie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Judah. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. We're all very excited for you. The crowd is very eager, as you can tell.
Oh,
So how are you? I know you have Dark Cloud coming out, and releases are always so stressful and like.
they are. They can be.
Yeah.
I'm good though. It's been nice to finally release music again and get some traction going. Um, it's always a lot of trial and error, as you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
But
I was just saying that people can find a link to your song by the time this comes out. There's a link to your song on your website, which I just was on there before we started, and all your ducks are in a row. You know, you get Dark Cloud, boom, right at the top, and it's just so easily accessible. And I imagine that by the time it comes out, it'll take you to Spotify and Bandcamp and or wherever, right?
yeah, it'll be all set up so you can just click the link and it'll take you right there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also just saying how like I've known you for so long through John, and it's either been through like a show that you've come around, or our friend Bob, a mutual friend Bob, had set up a surprise birthday, and you were there, and we never really got to talk though. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Me too. Yeah, we've never really gotten to talk music,
We share
songwriter to songwriter.
share this experience together, this struggle, this joy. You know.
Yes, it is both.
Yeah. So first things first, okay? I'm adding a new segment to the show here, and it's called Five Dumb Questions.
Okay. That's
All right, so Katie Frank answering five dumb questions. How many times in your life have you heard, let me be frank with you? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how annoying is it? 10 being the most annoying.
I don't find it annoying. I think it's,
One.
haha. I mean, my publishing company name is Quite Frankly, so I roll with the joke.
Okay, great, great, great. Well, that was good. All right,
Well, no.
number two. How many times have you heard the joke? She fell in love with the drummer. She fell in love with the drummer. And same thing on a scale of 1 to 10. How annoying is that for you? 10 being the most annoying.
Actually, people don't really. I don't know if I've heard that before.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if I have. I like that song.
Do you not have any Wilco fan friends? Like what? I mean, come on. What the hell is it? That's so weird.
Nobody's ever sang that to me before, but I like it.
I'm the first one in your life to like, wow.
I think you might be. Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations to me then. I deserve a little applause for that.
Cool. Cheers.
Coffee or tea?
Tea right now. I had coffee earlier. This is just decaf tea.
Okay. Okay. And number four, what Netflix shows did you binge during COVID? Have you binged?
Ooh. Well, I watched all of Unsolved Mysteries, like the new one.
Yeah. Been liking those.
I I love shows like that. God, what else have we watched? I can't I can't even think of anything recently, like, um well, I'll tell you right now, John is away, so when he's away, I'll watch, like, trash TV that I don't watch when he's around.
Yeah, guilty pleasures. Where is the Lord of the Manor?
He actually went home for the weekend for Easter.
Wait, so so you were home and then he was home.
I was home. We take turns because we have a small zoo here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right, right, right.
3 cats and a dog, so it's easier when we go one at a time,
Gotcha.
so
Gotcha.
we care for the farm.
Last question. Last 5 dumb questions. What Philly's best cheesesteak is from?
Well, I don't eat meat,
Oh,
but
okay.
according to John D'Alessandro's,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, I can't accurately answer that question, I feel bad. I get asked that a lot. I'm like, "I don't know, I've literally never I don't think I've never had one."
I think that they used to be the best. Something
Gotcha.
happened, I wanna say about 10 years ago. I heard that they might have gotten new ownership or whatever, but the quality is different. I gotta say that. It's not the same. And
I have seen, like, my route home from work used to be right past there 'cause when
mm,
we lived in Roxborough.
yep,
My god, the people out
yep.
flying out the door, the traffic, people pulling over, stopping in the middle of the lane with their flashers on so they can get a cheesesteak.
It's still
Like,
like that.
I would be so overwhelmed. I don't the experience of that you have to go through to get the cheesesteak,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, yeah. So are you vegan or vegetarian? This is outside of the 5 dumb questions. We're done now, but
Pescatarian, really. So I still eat seafood.
nice. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Have you always been that way, or is it some point in your life?
Since I was, like, 16,
Okay.
a long time, and I've gone full vegetarian. I was vegan for a little while, but, you know, pescatarian's the easiest thing for me. I really like seafood and yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's get into music. I always had the pleasure of just really digging into the songs that you sent. I spent the whole week
Good.
listening to your music, and God, what a pleasure! Seriously.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, yeah. Thank you. So when I when I look back on my stuff, like I know this is you. I think you sent 7 songs is what I had. If I when I look back on my stuff, I look back with such like, God, that could have been better, or like, damn,
Yeah.
this song kind of sucks. But I don't know. I feel like the quality of your stuff is just kind of consistent. Like at least in the songs that you sent me, I was always just like, wow.
Aw,
How do you feel about that yourself?
thank you. I yeah, I actually when I sent you those songs from Counting Your Curses,
Mm,
I went back and was listening to some of them, and, it was kind of nice, like, reminiscent. Like, I think now my songwriting has evolved to be a little more, I don't know, specific. Like, when I write a song, I have more of a certain idea in mind.
mm.
But that's not to say, like, that uh, some of my old songs are a little painful at times, but, like, overall, you know, listening back is kind of a nice experience.
Yeah, I can hear the abstractness kind of and the more of the implications of stuff
Yeah,
when
I
you're
used to do that a lot.
in like False Alarm and
Mhm.
Tunnel Vision, which is probably my favorite one of your old tracks. It's just like got such a good chorus and like the feel in the verse. Set first verse is different than the second verse, and
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. It was almost like you guys were like, let's just fucking try something different here, and
we
you
did. We were like, I think what we do, like halftime kind of. We go into a
yeah,
little, yeah.
baseline change too, and
That was probably yeah, that was when, like, I would play songs with the full band first, so we were able to figure it all out, in Philly. So that was probably a group effort
was
with
that
Josh and John.
okay? Yeah. Was Johnny on all the tracks that you sent me?
Not the, so he isn't on the 3 that are on Spotify and Apple, like, Delusion. That is not him on those 3 that are up. Long face and that.
It's when I stole them away from you.
Yes.
Um, yeah, okay. So, because it's funny just listening to those songs, to the music. I'm like, yeah, I can hear John McNally playing. I can
Yeah.
see him, like just the way he is, like like a lot of the hammer beat stuff sometimes reminds me of his way of playing. Okay, so as far as like where how accurate so when you were in the place with those older songs, like how did you go, like you said you were with a full band, right? And how accurate did those, you know because I always tend to have like a little, at least a vision for like where I want it to go. How accurate does that come out after you record with the band, other people, and with the producer and stuff like that in your earlier work?
In my earlier work. Okay. So I think some of those, like, I would just start, and I still do this to a point. It's like you come up with a progression or whatever that you like,
Hmm.
um, and then just like a melody in your head. And then sometimes I would just go with like whatever comes out first, like a first line, and write it down and just kind of go with it. And then sometimes later on, I, I wouldn't even know what I was singing about. And then after getting like a verse and chorus, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Kind of odd, but I'm sure you know what I mean,
I
you know?
absolutely do. And then and when that happens, you're like, that's what they mean by like a journey, kind of.
Yeah, it is, definitely. And no, I still do that, but like it's like half and half now. Like it's fun to write that way, and it's also fun to have an idea in mind and sit down and try it.
Right,
Uh,
right. Totally agree. It's almost hard to control, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It's definitely hard to control.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can't really.
yeah,
But yeah, my older stuff, that's kind of how it would evolve. Um, I would demo it, play it for my band, and then we would kind of mess around with it, and it would turn out, you know.
so I mean, has it ever been disappointing or even surprising or both, or and also like how working with a band, are you good at saying no, I don't like that because I suck at that?
I kind of suck at that too. I've gotten better at it. So I don't think I've ever been super disappointed with how something comes out. Um, but you know, I've gone from it from both angles, like having started with the band that we tried things with first, and then going in with that band and recording it. So I knew what to expect. And then I've also gone at it more recently from the angle of demos and going into the studio and figuring out what it's going to sound like then, and then later playing it with the band. I've
Mm.
done both. But I don't think I've ever been disappointed. I think, you know, it's, we have one song now that's going to be on my newer album that is a really powerful song.
Mm.
So it's been a lot of trial and error trying to figure out like what to do with the drums on it because it's like a ballad.
Yeah,
So that's been a challenge, but not in like a disappointing way. I'm just like, you know, figuring it out.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you talk about that challenge, is it more like, so I guess it just sounds like it's really eloquently describing what you're feeling
Yeah.
and like how you communicate that to your band, and maybe even Johnny. I guess he's playing drums on it.
Yeah, he is. Um, so this was a track that we did without drums when we tracked it live with the intention to add like concert drums later. Um, so we've been adding stuff. And I was like, all right, we just need to have, like, last Saturday, we went into the studio again and I had John come up with some ideas and we just tried a bunch of stuff out. And I think we're there now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
But it was one of those, like, I've never had that experience before because I've never done a song quite like this one, I think. Um, so it was different, to
That's cool.
say the least.
That's cool. So. not so much frustrating, but just a challenge that was fun. That's been
Yeah,
there.
something that I hadn't encountered before, you know?
Do you ever start from, I don't know, just a groove or, instead of guitar or piano, like, do you ever just try some starting a different way?
Like, stuff that comes into your head kind of stuff?
Well, just complete like, I don't wanna use the word force, but going in with an intent to try, like, "Well, I usually do things this way, so let's maybe," you live with a drum kit. You ever just pick up drumsticks and kinda mess around maybe?
I have not.
Mhm,
Maybe I should try that. I I often have John, like, well, I've tried to have him, like, teach me basic things in the past.
mhm.
Uh, I wanna get back on that.
I mean, it's kind of the songwriter's dream almost to kinda, like, be married to your drummer because you get a song and then you're just like, "Hey, I got this," and he's right there, like, otherwise, it's like you said, you demo and you send it out and, like, have rehearsal. So that's gotta be awesome.
It is. It's kind of been that way, especially this year because of COVID.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And,
sure.
like, as I'm writing and we recorded the first 3 songs right when COVID started, um, and then the second 3, like, in December. So we kinda waited out. Well, the storm was still pretty bad in December, but, you do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Um, but we it was interesting. Like, he would hear a lot of what I was writing throughout the year, and then we did some live streams, so, um, we kind of figured it out together, and that's kinda the first time it's ever been just us 2 doing that, but it's been kinda cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, Lost my train of thought. Okay, is there anything else I wanted to bring up about your older material? I don't think so. We may come back, but what was interesting, okay, so I feel like, you sent me False Alarm, Tunnel Vision, and then Long Face and Do Over Babe are on Spotify.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like those can be sort of together, at least lyrically, right? I think so. With as far as like, okay, you did this kind of thing. And then Delusion kind of is was a standalone single, and even the sound shifted a little bit. It was reminiscent for me of like sort of 90s alt rock kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
That was the first song that I heard ever from you, I think. I think I heard it on 88.5. Shout out to Helen
Oh,
Light.
Helen's our girl.
Right? Um, and whenever I had if you ever came up with a conversation, that song would come into my head. Like without only just hearing it once too. It's still very infectious and very catchy. Um, what was the I don't know. How did that song come about? Because like I said, it's interesting to bring up because it seems like it's the one that's very different stylistically from where you're from.
It is. So that was, one that I did with Kevin, that and Long Face and, Do Over Babe,
Mhm.
and that was from a place of, like, well, we pretty much tracked everything at his house individually, but that song, I just kinda started with the chords, I think, and then the first line that came out, and I think what I was feeling when I wrote it, it's like the delusion is pursuing your dream,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yes.
and,
Right. That's right.
like, it's been a constant battle for me of, like, I think we all are, it's ingrained in us, like, "Oh, you have to work, if you don't," and I'm from Central PA, so Lancaster County is very much like, "Oh, get a job, if you don't work, like, so I have that in my head all the time,
Okay.
and I went to school, went to Temple, got my bachelor's degree. I was never into it. I was never like, "Yeah, college, I know exactly what I wanna do." I always wanted to do music, but then, I ended up working in nursing homes and rec therapy for years. So that was kind of what I was feeling, was like, I want to be able to just work and be normal and, want normal things that people want, but I don't, and I never did. So, like, everything else feels like a delusion, you know?
Mhm.
Um, I think it's just like the societal pressure that I'm speaking of.
that we all feel too, and
Still feel it. Isn't it the worst?
it's absolutely the worst, and it's
Mhm.
amplified through like social media too.
Oh
Everything
my
is.
god, yeah. And
Um,
that whole, like, you too, it was so pushed onto us, like, "You have to go to college, get your dream job." That whole mentality, like, "If you don't go to college, you gotta go to college." And then, the dream jobs, I don't think they really exist. But, I mean, yeah, sure, maybe they do for some people.
yeah. I mean, man, I could go on. Don't get me started about colleges because it's like looking back now, it's almost exploitative because it's like you're 18 and you're it's school has become has was always so competitive almost, right? It's almost like
Very.
this competition between parents. It's probably even worse now. I can imagine. And so that's how it's like kind of like sold to you almost like you gotta get into this school because of this and that. And then, even as a teenager, you watch like the frat house movies and shit like that. And they keep coming out and it's just like subliminally, I think. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but like, it becomes attractive
Oh,
to
no.
you, like fucking parties and like getting laid and like smoking weed.
Definitely.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to college.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the best part about college.
And that's why I think that's why I think kids will, it can't go away because kids are always attracted to that,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. And, that is a whole experience on its own, like, it was great for that, like, I loved being at Temple and living on my own and, like, figuring out what I like to do, like, and I was in the city for the first time and I could take a subway and go downtown. Like, I grew up somewhere where we couldn't even get food delivered to our house because we were out in the boonies. So
Wow.
that part was really cool.
Elizabethtown, is that correct?
Mhm. Good old E-town.
My college roommate was from Elizabethtown.
Really? What's
Yes.
your college roommate's name?
Name is Jared Everett.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, he's older than you. But yeah, punk rock guitarist, grew up out there.
Ah,
He loved records. And yeah,
that's cool.
little fun fact tidbit. All right. So moving into the Nashville era, like you mentioned early, that's one thing that I noticed right away was that your lyrics started to become very direct and it wasn't like there's no guesswork in it,
Mm,
right? There's just kind of like um this is what it's about, right?
yeah.
Um, the video is hilarious, by the way. Loved watching the video.
What'd you say?
The video was hilarious. I loved watching the video. It's so good. Um,
Good. Yeah, that was fun to make. That tells the story of what I wrote it about.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, fake people, basically.
Yeah.
Um, but it just made me smile. I was just grinning the whole time. And
Good.
you come in playing with the band, and Johnny's back there. And just I was just like, oh God, I love this.
Good. Goal achieved then, because
The
it's
other,
not supposed to be serious.
the other thing that cracked me up too was the last chorus when you're singing by yourself. You got the fan going.
Yes. Oh my god, it was so funny. It was actually so we did that part of the video in October, and we did it in this warehouse that a friend of ours owns and let us use it and kind of set up our own little, shooting scene, and it was so hot that day.
Yeah.
And one of the band members was like, "Well, we need a fan." And we looked over and there was a fan sitting there. So we plugged it in and
So that wasn't planned at all. That's great. That's
no, it wasn't planned, but it was so perfect.
oh yeah, it was. It was a good video. And then the cop coming in at the end
Oh, yes.
and him dancing to Bad Boys at the end. It's good too.
That is, Josh's roommate. His name is Rob.
Okay.
So we were, like, coming up with all this, trying to be COVID safe too, like, I'm like, "Who can we use?" And I was like, "Josh, your roommate, Rob, ask him if he'll do it." And he's Yeah, he was
Tell the viewers who Josh is.
okay, Josh Werblin is, he is a friend of mine and John's. We go way back. He produced my first EP, Cover Bridge Road, and Counting Your Curses.
Oh,
Um, he actually is kind of so I met him when I lived with a guy I went to high school with, Will. We're still good friends. And he went to Drexel with Josh. So I met Josh through Will, and Josh was heard me playing guitar, and would always be like, make a record, make a record. So then we did it. Now Josh works in the industry. He's a tour manager for Nikki Lane and the Frights. And he also does really great design, graphic design, artwork, all that kind of stuff. So good person to have in my corner here. Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like it. I believe he came to our Nashville show, the Judy Kim Assassination Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him there briefly. Oh, cool. So yeah, like it's great having people like that in your life. You know.
Yeah, totally. Like, yeah.
All right, Katie. Now we're getting into dark cloud territory here.
Ooh.
So where this song is great too, and this is also a shift as well as I see it. Um, both of these Nashville era Katie Frank tunes. First of all, they have that Nashville sound. Like they're produced very like whoo pristine. And all the session players, they got that country vibe. I close my eyes and I picture an orange sunset, over like
Ah,
a dark
cool.
sky, when I hear some of these songs. Okay, but dark but that's sonically, right? So Dark Cloud, it shifts from you and me to she, right? You're telling a story about this girl. Now, do you have other songs where you've been able to do that, or is this like the first one where you're telling a story that way?
Um, no, I've written other songs. There are some, so I have done it before, uh, where I'm telling a story of someone else, um, or like a situation I've observed, which is kind of one of my favorite ways to write, honestly.
Mm,
Um, yeah, telling a story. But yes, on my there were some songs on my record that Longface was on that the rest of it was never released, which I still have. If you ever want to hear them, there's a song or two on there that are like that.
okay, cool. Why
Yeah.
why the decision not was it a decision not to release it, or was it
It was a decision not to release it. I felt like I wasn't aligned with it and the whole process anymore too, and I didn't feel like I was being my truest self in like the way that it evolved.
mhm,
Um Not that I don't like the songs. I still think the songs are great and they sound great. Um I just I needed a change, and that was when I kind of was making the decision to move to Nashville. So I was like, I would rather kind of sit on these songs and have them, maybe redo them later than release it now and not like feel good about it.
wow,
You know?
yeah, that must I mean,
Interesting. Yeah.
I can see myself doing that, but I understand that was probably a heavy decision because you spend so much time writing and recording,
Yeah. Mhm.
and then all of a sudden I get insecure about like what people think, and then if you don't release it, then it's like, oh well, now there's this dry spell. Like, where's all your new shit?
Yeah, and I definitely have that.
You know? Um,
So that's part of my story now.
yeah, right. That's how I see it as well. So while we're on the Nashville tip, so the decision to move was pretty huge too, and what kind of stirred that?
Yeah, definitely. What stirred it? Well, I started to feel like I wasn't uh um so the album that I decided not to release, when I felt like I wasn't like being true to myself, I was kind of letting a lot of things slide under the rug, like um that I didn't really want. I was giving up a lot of creative control too. Um
Not being able to
so
see.
yes, that used to be an issue. And when that started happening, I've always been in contact with Josh, and he was living here in Nashville at the time. And he was like, "Well, why don't you come visit here? Like, you can stay with at my place for free, and like we'll set up some writing sessions with people down here." And I was like, "Okay." So I did one trip and I loved it. The writing sessions were great. And then I did another trip, and then it was kind of like, yeah, I want to change. I want to move to Nashville. I want to expand a little, and you know, take this a lot further because it's so much more. It's a lifestyle here. It's like it's accepted.
It's in the conversations with people, I imagine.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. That's awesome. What were those writing sessions like?
Um, interesting to say the least. Those were like the first that I'd ever done, and I think everyone has this issue of being closed off, like, at first, especially. Like, I can remember trying to do writing sessions in my early 20s with people, and I was just like, "Nope, not gonna happen. Let's do something else. Let's have a beer," you know? Um, but these were,
Well,
uh
what let's talk about that fear or whatever it is. Why?
why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I it's like you freeze up, you know? I guess being vulnerable is, um, the hardest part,
Mhm.
but then that's also the coolest thing is, like, when you do writing sessions and for me, I was meeting these people the first time ever. And you have a song that you've started, maybe you play them a start, and then you go into like, what's it about? So it ends up being like you're telling this person really in depth secrets about yourself, and you've just met them. And then you hash out the song, and it actually is pretty cool. It ends up being like a semi therapy session if it's a good one. You could have bad ones too. I had one bad one.
What
But
I mean, what was that like? Like a bad date or something?
yeah, yes. So would you want me to go into specifics?
Yeah, I do. I'm interested. This is the kind of shit that would interest me, and because like I want to sort of collaborate, but I am going to be much like you were saying, closed off probably because one, I think my shit probably will suck. Someone else will think it sucks, and
No, no one would think that. That's the best.
two, it's that like I don't like to share. I'm a
Yeah.
fucking control
Yeah.
freak, and I'm very selfish,
Yeah. I feel you on that.
you know. So
Mhm.
so yeah, what was the bad one like?
Um, so, uh, I am not like, I don't read music. I write by ear,
Mm,
um, and I never took guitar lessons. So a lot of what I come up with is, like, I'm insecure about it, but, like, it ends up it's cool. You don't have to read music to be a writer,
right.
whatever. But this session, this guy, I think had gone to, like, Berkeley or something, and, um, you know, what I writing sessions that are best for me if I'm working on a song for myself, I come to the table with um an idea already, and then that person can help me hash it out and make it 10 times better. I brought a couple ideas to him and he was like, "No, let's start something new." And then I was like, "No, God, no." So we started this brand new song and it was just him playing all these like really intricate chords and I was like, "I would never use those." Um, like, he's like, I want to give you a song that's like different, and then he told me that my songs were a little strummy, a little too strummy, and Lisa Loeb bedroom rock was how
Oh,
he described my songs. And so then I'm like, all right, shut down mode, wall goes up. So we're trying to hash out this song, and it's just like him writing the whole damn thing pretty much. And I'm just sitting there and it was freezing in his house. It was summer and the AC was cranked. I'm in my little sundress, like, and I was hungry. So I was hangry. I was freezing. This a-hole's trying to take over the whole song. And what else? At one point, like I was trying to sing along. He even told me not to sing. He was like, well, I'm trying to figure out this melody. And I was like, okay, I'm done here. But yes, not good. I'm not going to use a song that someone else wrote.
mm,
you
yeah,
know?
that sounds painful, painfully
It
awkward too,
was.
probably.
I'm not going to mention names, but
Did you did you just, like, storm out, or did it just, like, awkwardly end?
It kind of ended. I was like, "All right, I gotta go. My ride's here," because at that was one of my visits. So that
Mm,
was one of my first sessions too. Um, yeah. Finally, I was like, "Josh, come get me."
mm, mm.
Um, but the one the next day was like completely redeeming and was the opposite end of the spectrum and made me want to move to Nashville. Like you just have to write with people that you really vibe with, and that get you.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like a lot like not a lot for you, at least in your experience, but, someone that might consider moving there or just someone that wants to collaborate generally, shit, like, probably takes trial and error, and you probably have to give it a chance too, like anything.
Definitely. Yeah.
I have a I think I have trust issues with my music. Like, I
I do too. I mean, I haven't, yeah.
if I don't like an idea, it's this is all my shit though. It's like I have a hard time telling people, "No, I don't really like that." So I'll either like just, sweep it under the rug like you were talking about earlier, or kind of just and like let it happen kind of and just
Yeah.
sit there like, in the back
Mhm.
of my head. Um, so I'm glad you found that, and I'm glad that you seem like you're thriving there in Nashville.
Good. I'm
So,
glad. It's starting to feel that way now.
mm,
We moved here and COVID happened after about 7 months of living here. So it was a little, it's been
womp
different,
womp, right?
but it's different for everyone. So
Mm,
what can we do?
yeah. But keeping on, circling back to Dark Cloud. I'm
Oh,
trying to go
yes.
off on a little bit of a tangent about Nashville and all that, right? Yeah, so the mood feels different too. It feels like you have a sadder song that you sent me called Do Over Babe, which I love too. Initially, that track stuck
Mm.
out to me. I was like, "You're my do over babe." I was like, "Wow, that's so fucking good." That's such a
Oh,
great heavy song, you know?
thank you.
Yeah. But it's a different kind of sadness than this one. Like you're lamenting about somebody else. Like so is this about an actual person?
It is.
An abusive relationship? That's
Yes. So she knows it's about her. It's about my sister and one of her old relationships.
I met her.
Yeah, Spencer.
Mhm.
I told her when I was home, actually, I was like, Dark Cloud's about you. I'm just gonna let that out there. But yeah, she was like, "Oh."
Yeah, how did she take that? Awkwardly or like
I
complimentary?
mean, now she's far enough away from this relationship that it was about that I think she can be like, "Yeah, okay. I'm glad I gave you some writing material." But, she took it well.
I love the line "dancing with revenge in shadows." That's a great one. I told Sarah's my girlfriend. I told her that and she's like, "Ooh, I like that one." Yeah, that's a great little line that you got there.
Thank you. Yes,
Mm.
I don't know where it came from. It's a good one.
Yeah, great track. Great track. So I think I've asked you all there is to about the specific songs that you sent me. Kind of want to get into some other things about music too.
Okay.
So now share as much as you'd like that you're comfortable with this, but what is your experience as being like a woman in the music business? Like,
Ooh. Um, it's definitely different. I mean, you're around mostly men, but I've found that throughout my life, I I have often been the only female in a lot of situations. Like I don't it just kind of was something that I was already used to in a way. I always had a lot of male friends and like in church when I went to Sunday school, I was the only girl in my like catechism class. But okay, aside from that, there are it's a whole thing. There's definitely like there have been bad experiences and then like really great ones. it's a whole, oh, women in music, well, no, we're just musicians, just like you are. Or, you know, um, I try to look at it that way. But, you know, I did have some negative experiences early on, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's a lot more like old school men who've been in the industry a long time, and it's always been male dominated. Like it's more of a thing like people want to shape you as an artist. As a female, and that happens to men too, but I think more so for women.
Shape you how?
Like your image, um, yeah, how your songs come across, like, um, yeah, like that writing session.
Yeah.
um, yeah, there was a professor. I took a pop songwriting class in college, and the professor was like, I want to work with you after, like, I'll do like songwriting coaching. And it was cool at the time. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. Cause he was like a producer. Um, and he made some inappropriate comments. And that really turned me off. Like, I was like, all right, enough of this. And then I kind of like, I actually didn't write the last 2 years of college. And I wouldn't say it was necessarily because of that. It was kind of just like the environment I was in. But that kind of, yeah, triggered it, I guess.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Sucks.
there's always those things, sexual harassment and all that, fun stuff.
The one thing that I imagine would be like, well, this is probably just your general experience as a lady too. It's like, is this guy really, is he really into my shit, or is he just trying to fuck me?
Right there, that's always a question.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that sucks.
Yeah, it does. But I've also, like, now I only surround myself with people that I trust. So it's like I've had good experiences now. Um, but I think I'm sure every woman, especially in the music industry, has stories.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, hopefully, we get some people to listen to this and they're like, "Yep, I know what she's talking about."
Oh yeah.
You know, that's my point with all this. Hopefully, not to just do that, but also to connect too. This is like I said, this is I've known you for so long. It's just great to hear about your experiences, just about everything, writing and all that. Um,
Yeah,
just
you too. It's always been curious.
yeah, yeah. So, social media, how has that affected your art, your mental health, and how has like the changing landscape of music in social media and all that affected your approach to writing music?
Oh, well,
Not.
well, TikTok, that's the big thing now. I don't That's been the biggest challenge. I think our age group, Instagram's been around for a while. We were like Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, I get it now, like, um I'm into a good flow with that. Uh yeah, but it's always a battle. Like, am I the only person that every time I post something, I don't know what to caption it? And then it's an inner battle. Like, what do I say? What do I say? And then I end up like not posting it and waiting a couple days. you know, I'm sure that's a lot of people, but
Yeah, I get to the point where like I'm at the post button and then I'm like, nah.
me too. Me too.
And I've been like editing for like, half an hour, like,
Yep. And
"N-
I'll be like, nah, not this one.
nope.
Uh, but I have a TikTok now, so I don't really get it, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I have one too, and it's like, okay, so now how do I use this? Right? How's this gonna how's this gonna work with who I am and stuff? It's like the thing for me with social media and all of it is just like Okay, yeah, we can release music whenever we want. It's never been easier to do so. But it's just then now it's like, how do you get heard, right?
Yeah.
I always hear when I listen to
Mm,
celebrity podcasts, I always hear them talk about this. And what's frustrating to me is they always say like, you can do anything you want, man, and it's great. It's so you can release a podcast, you can release a song or whatever, and if it's good, it'll reach people.
no, that's
I
not the
don't
case.
know that that's necessarily true, right?
Yeah.
He's like, the gatekeepers are gone. No, they're not gone. They're the ones in charge of the Spotify playlists.
Mhm.
Shit that you hear. They're still around. They know it as much as everyone else does, and it's being able to navigate that, right?
Yeah, it's people who say that are in a hell of a position to say it. You know? Like, yeah, you're already past it, so you can say that, but, like, yeah, there's so many people on the other side of it. No, it's not true, like, a good song will get you heard at all.
I got into a little, a tiny Twitter tiff about this actually, a tiny Twitter tiff. It was because Bill Maher actually had posted something
Yeah.
about this, and he said that, and I was like, this is a tone deaf take on music. It's just because you have a song. He said basically like, you know, he said something about the Grammys and how like there's a reason that your music isn't heard because or something like that, or you're not winning Grammys because maybe you suck. And I was like, and he went on this thing like, yeah, because you can release music whenever you want now. It's never been easier to do so. Maybe there's just a whole lot of shit out there, and on one hand, maybe he's right about that. But I also think that that we live in such a the thing about social media too is that we're always exposed to all of this exceptionalism. You know, sometimes sometimes it's always the exception to the rule. Hope I'm making sense here. That like a Billie Eilish will pop through, or a what's his name? Um, was it Kendrick Lamar who kind of did it on his own? Chance the Rapper. He did the
Oh,
SoundCloud.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Okay.
every once in a while that'll happen. So it's like
It's rare, though.
it might be getting a little out there. So if it's all about exceptionalism, right? Then there's no sort of let's just indulge this idea. Maybe he's right. Okay, maybe he's right for a second. If it's all about exceptionalism, then there's no middle ground then, right? And that's important because okay, let's talk about the artists that we know. There's Prince, exceptional, right? And
Mhm.
then let's take an average band like the Cranberries. Right? There's no space for there's a lot of cranberries out there, right?
Yeah.
There's if that's the case, there's no space for that, and that's important because the question becomes, if Bill Maher is correct, right, that only good music will shine through, then it makes me ask the question, is music better now?
That's a good question.
I don't think that it is.
I don't either. Not at all. I think I hear a lot of stuff that's popular that is very much either middle ground or I'm just like, "Okay, yeah, I can take it or leave it," or
Mhm.
but I don't know. I always think that the biggest factor is, like, in delivery. Like, I think the it factor sometimes is, like, is someone believable? Like, do you hear someone and go, "Ooh, who is this?" You know? It's that factor that kinda sucks you in, like,
Mhm.
I don't know. When
Sure.
I listen to music or, like, I like writing styles, like, certain changes that, like, I wasn't expecting. Like, I love when I hear a chord change and I'm like, "Oh, that wasn't where I thought it would go, but I love it." You
Yes.
know? But,
Amen. Both things. Yep.
yeah.
But it's a
But
marketing
yeah, I
is my point. It's marketing, right? And how you break through that is there doesn't seem to be
that's a big
there doesn't seem to be a formula. However, it's you're in the industry now, like it down very, in the industry. So it's like, sure, you hear it all the time. Like, this is why you're not growing. You probably see it on your feed. Like, this is why you're not growing. How to get more followers, like all that shit, right? Songwriting tips, all that stuff.
yeah, it's always an uphill battle. I mean, at this point, I'm just like, trying to be as true to myself as I can be and, like, still try and play that game, but, like, um, and then it's like you see there's so many people trying to do the same thing, especially here,
Hmm.
and you'll find people on social media, I don't know who the hell you are. I'll go to their Instagram pages. They have, like, 20, maybe 100,000 followers. I'm like, "I don't know who you are." And then you listen to a song of theirs, and it's like, eh, I
Yeah.
could take it or leave it. I'd probably leave it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I'm like, "Where can you buy followers? Is that a thing?
Right.
Can you?"
I'm
I'm asking,
I'm sure
you
that
know?
I'm sure it's a thing, right? And I don't know.
I always wonder that.
If you probably can, and if we're going down that road, it's like if you can, how much of that is our bots? How much of those followers are bots?
Right. Probably are mostly bots. They're not real people.
How much of
Yeah.
it is a scam? All
That's
this,
what I always assume.
yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah. It's just been frustrating over the years because you get into this because you love to write music and perform and all that. But then all of a sudden, as the industry changes, it's just like, okay, now I got to wear my marketing hat. Now I have to learn this. Now I have to learn this. Now I have to learn TikTok, like you're saying. You have to like learn all this new shit.
Oh god, yeah.
I was, I almost quite being a musician now to like, okay, I'm starting a restaurant. I'm the chef. I'm the busboy. I'm the dishwasher. I'm the host. I'm the marketing. I'm everything. I do all the stuff.
Yeah,
You got to wear all the hats to do it.
absolutely. And I think that's the most challenging part about it now.
Yeah.
Like, bands in the '90s didn't have to do any of that.
No.
Like, I mean, yes, it's great in a lot of ways
Frozen.
to make how you a song go viral on TikTok, you know?
So we had a bad
What are the
connection.
secrets?
Wait a second, we had a bad connection problem. So you said bands in the '90s didn't have to do that, and then I lost you.
Oh, yes. So they didn't have to do that. Like it's good in the way that yes, maybe it's easier to get yourself heard or there are more opportunities to, but at the same time, there's so much out there and so many people trying to do it and so many people just trying to be internet famous now.
Yeah,
That's a whole thing.
yeah.
I don't know how to make a TikTok go viral. I posted one of Hank and it got like uh, over 100,000 views, of course, because it was funny.
Ooh,
My little internet star, my cat. Um, but no one gives a shit about my songs on TikTok.
right? But
Right. But I am like, how do I be more creative? I need to, yeah.
how
But
do
then I'm like, oh, I'm old. I don't feel like it.
you exactly? So I think the challenge is like I stopped doing it for about like 6 months because I was doing like goofy shit, right? Like you were sort of saying with your cat.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah,
like, I think the
yeah.
challenge is to like, be sorta goofy and interesting, but also kind of, like, still do you. How do you do that, right? There's, like, an art to that, I think, that I haven't cracked yet.
That's the hardest part. Yeah, with TikTok, I'm learning that. Yeah,
My most viral one is, like,
yeah.
12K, and, it was literally me with, like I was strumming my guitar, and then I was about to sing a song, I was like, "Oh, I know what you're here for," and then it switches to me, like, showing my nipple and, like, going down.
See, that's a good idea.
And, that was the video. I didn't even play a song.
That's what people like. Nipple.
They wanted my boob.
All they want is nipples.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so let's leave that dirty world of social media behind us.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just talk about, the, uh, the lone joy of songwriting experience. I wanna bring this up because I feel like when I'm in that state, when I have something, it's like this miraculous joy, right?
It is.
That I wish I could share with like my partner, my level of my life, and it's just like I can't do that, right? Songwriting is like that's why it's so it can be so lonely, you know. Um, it's like this tiny little heaven that happens, and then all of a sudden, like the only thing that you have to show other people is the actual thing that comes with it. Uh,
You're absolutely right. That's I mean, that's what keeps you coming back to it though, I think, like,
mhm.
it's that spark.
Sarah's in Italy right now, and I think the closest thing was that like she's just falling in love with Rome, and it's just like she's like, you can't be here, and I want you to experience that. I'm like, that's kind of what I mean when like I'm writing. I wish you were here with me, you know, to like share this experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like I said, it's must be so awesome to just kind of like have a song and then just bring it to John and just kick off like a drum groove or something.
I do that sometimes. I'm usually pretty I start a lot of songs and, it takes me a little bit to decide if I'm gonna finish it or if I like it. Are you the same way?
Say
Or do
that.
you finish everything you start?
We had a little connection problem again.
Yeah, it was, cutting out. I start a lot of songs, and it takes me a little while to figure out sometimes if I'm gonna finish them, if I like them enough to finish them, or, are you that way too, or do you write, like, everything you start, you finish?
I am definitely like that. I just finished a songwriting challenge for myself, 100 shitty songs in 100 days, just to one write every day, two, and then all just to finish. Right. I think that
Yeah,
it was hard to kind of tell myself, this is gonna be shitty. Just finish it. Like I'd sit there and ruminate on a line, a lyric line. Just finish the song, get it done. And I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about how, you trust the process. Sometimes you find something and then all of a sudden it comes in together at the end. Sometimes it doesn't,
yeah, yeah,
but at the very least, I guess I try to see it now as okay, this might be a bad song, but is it all bad? Could I use this lyric somewhere else? Could I use this chord progression somewhere else? Is the music maybe just good and the lyrics are shitty,
totally.
Like
Yeah, you have bits and pieces, you know? I just have so many voice memos now.
so many voice memos.
So many.
You have to like being able to like tell yourself to sit down to like eh, go through that, the tedious exercise of that. I mean, it just makes me think that I just want to say, fuck it, I'll just play something new and forget about
Yeah,
it.
totally. I
Yeah.
mean, I've since I had the house to myself, I'm just like, it's writing freedom. I'm out in the living room, I'm in here, I'm just like going back and forth writing all night. It's kind of what I did the last 2 nights, which is it's nice. But yeah, I don't know yet if any of these songs that I've started, if I'm gonna finish them. As I get to a point, I think like if I get a verse and a chorus and I think they're decent enough, and then I sit on it for a while, I'm like, okay, the song's at a point where I could finish it easily. Once you get over that hump, it's easier. But then I don't finish them because I could finish them, but I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes I come back to them later and do finish them, and then I end up liking them. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff like that actually. Stuff that's some of the stuff that's actually done and just I don't know, for whatever reason I'm like, I got one too many ballads on this one. I don't want to add it to the next record or whatever.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, stylistically, it's like, nah, this is a little too wrong. Um, Are you a constant editor? I've finished. I have so many drafts of songs, just wasted pages. Not wasted pages, but it's interesting to look back and see the progression.
I'm definitely like that. I have many notebooks, many. I'll try to start a journaling habit, like, and I do journal at times, but it ends up being a songwriting book, and
Mhm.
a journal. All of my notebooks end up being multi-purpose. Like I can't seem to be organized.
That sucks because I was gonna ask you, how do you stay organized?
So if it's a song I'm keeping, I will type it. I'll type it up. That helps. But I always know where which notebook I have each song in, and I usually can find it. But yeah, I can't seem to like have this notebook's for journaling, this notebook's for songwriting, this is for this. I no. They all just end up being journal, songs, random thoughts.
It's cool. I mean, in it
Paper, paper.
in and of that's like a work of art in and of itself, just looking back at all that.
Yeah.
One thing that I found that was kind of useful, but super narcissistic and tedious, right, was to actually when I finished writing a song, I'd actually write how it came about.
Oh,
Like, all the circumstances surrounding it. Was I in college? Was I doing this? Was, that? Was I house sitting somewhere? Was this happening? How did the idea
write it down.
Yeah, it takes fucking forever, so I don't do it anymore, but, like,
That's very meticulous.
yeah, it really is, but, I just wanted to understand how I go about doing things and how I could change them. Do you have a style of notebook that you prefer or like?
Mm, nope.
Well, I like these big Moleskine ones
That's cool.
because 'cause they're big and they're I don't like lines. I like to just be able to freely write,
That's
without
cool.
having the
Well,
constriction of a line.
most of mine have lines, but maybe I might try just plain old white paper now. You
Yeah,
say that.
it
This
might
is
make
my
it more chaotic, though, I don't know.
I have this one here.
Oh, cool.
Every day is catter day. It was supposed to be a journal again. Like I was saying, it's turned into songwriting. But but that's kind of the same thing, I guess.
Very cool. Okay, so, I think we're almost coming to the time, but one thing I wanted to ask you too is when you were talking about, like, John not being around, there is something just psychologically freeing about, like, even if you love the person that you live with, when they're gone, when you're just an empty house by yourself and strumming and singing, it's different, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is no freedom like that. Like I'm definitely someone who enjoys solitude and I think I need more of it um as I get older. Also to like escape the social media world, but um for writing, yes. And I've never done this, but I've always wanted to go just stay a weekend by myself in like a cabin somewhere with no purpose other than just going to write. I've never done it. Have you ever done anything like that?
No, but what I will say is that I had this idea, right? Because sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but it kinda has to do with what you're saying. I feel that I teach too, so before COVID, I'd go to people's houses, but I'd feel a certain different type of energy in different rooms.
Mhm.
So I'd strum and I'm like, why I'm playing the same guitar, I'm the same person, but I'm in a different space, and all of a sudden I have this really cool guitar idea right now.
Yeah. Mhm.
So like Airbnb for creatives would be like a cool,
That's a great idea.
yeah.
I mean, any space that's like just solitude and cozy and maybe different, I think is like good for creativity. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
like just being able to write freely in the living room is nice, you know, which I can't normally do because we're usually on the couch together, but
Mhm.
it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, awesome. I think we've come to the time here. This was great.
It
Thanks
was
for
nice.
thanks for sharing your music and your thoughts and experiences with this process that we call.
Thank you for having me, Judah. I've
Of
been
course.
wanting to, yeah, pick your brain a little.
Awesome. Well, everyone, Dark Cloud is should be now available at
Yes.
katiefrankmusic.com. Great. Thanks, Katie. Tell John I said hi.
Oh, I will. Bye, Judah.
Okay. Bye. See you.